They ran for 4 minutes and 11 seconds. Lara knew because she counted. The same way she'd counted the photographs. The same desperate arithmetic of a mind that needed something to grip. 1 1,000. 2 1,000. The man in front of her moving through the dark compound with absolute certainty, never hesitating at junctions, never looking back except once, briefly, to check she was still behind him. She was. She was also, mortifyingly, out of breath by minute 3, which said something unflattering about her gym attendance. A second man fell into step beside her, younger, lighter on his feet, with an expression of barely contained excitement that seemed wildly inappropriate for the situation. "You must be the journalist," he said, at a volume that was almost a whisper but not quite. "Now is not..." she started. "Tariq," he said, extending a hand as though they were at a networking event. "Karim's brother. Big fan of your work. I saw your piece on the Syrian water crisis. The photograph of the child with the empty bucket. Remarkable." "Tariq," the man in front said, without turning around. One word, like a full stop. Tariq retracted his hand. They kept running.
The vehicle was a black Land Cruiser, engine already running, parked behind a collapsed section of compound wall where the desert simply swallowed the boundary between built and unbuilt. Karim yanked open the rear door, gestured at Lara with the urgency of a man who has already spent too long in one place, and she climbed in without argument. Tariq took the wheel. Karim folded himself into the passenger seat and said something rapid and sharp into a radio that crackled back at him. They drove without lights for 7 minutes. Then the lights came on, and the road, an approximation of a road, gravel and packed sand, opened up ahead of them, and Lara exhaled for what felt like the first time since golden hour. "Thank you," she said, to the back of Karim's head. "I don't know who you are or why you came, but thank you." A pause. He was looking at his phone, scrolling through something with the focused intensity of a man receiving bad news in real time. "Don't thank me yet," he said. That was not reassuring. "What does that mean?" "It means..." He said something to Tariq. Tariq made a sound that was somewhere between a groan and a laugh. Karim turned in his seat to look at her fully for the first time, and she got the complete version of what she'd only glimpsed in the torchlight. Sharp bones, careful eyes, the cut above his brow still bleeding with serene indifference. He was, she noted with the detached professionalism of someone who spent their life composing images, extraordinarily well constructed. Cheekbones that would be a crime to photograph badly. She filed this observation under irrelevant and waited. "There is a checkpoint," he said, 30 kilometers ahead. "It is operated by Hassan's associates. They will have been alerted by now." "Can we go around it?" "The only route around it adds 4 hours through territory that is inadvisable at night." "So we go through it." "We cannot go through it as we are." He looked at her steadily. "A foreign woman, unaccompanied by family, traveling at night. They will detain you. Legally, under the interior territorial codes, they have that right." Lara stared at him. "What do you mean, unaccompanied by family?" Another exchange with Tariq. Tariq was very carefully looking at the road. "There is one classification," Karim said, "under which a woman traveling with a man who is not her relative cannot be detained at an interior checkpoint." He paused. The pause had weight to it. The weight of a man who has considered and dismissed every alternative and arrived, reluctantly, at this one. If she is his wife. The silence in the Land Cruiser was absolute. "I'm sorry," Lara said. "What?" "A temporary marriage," he said,
with the tone of someone explaining a logistical arrangement, a flight connection, a hotel booking, something administrative and finite. Conducted by my man at the next waypoint. Legally binding under Zafari interior law for the purpose of the checkpoint. It will be dissolved the moment we reach Zafaran city. You have my word. Your word. Lara heard her own voice doing something she categorized as dangerous calm. The register she reached when she was approximately 30 seconds from losing it entirely. You want to marry me? In the desert, in the middle of the night, after I was just kidnapped. I want to get you safely to the city, Karim said. The marriage is the mechanism. It is not the point. It feels like the point. Miss Voss, Lara. She didn't know why she corrected him. Force of habit, maybe. Or the irrational need to have one thing in this conversation on her own terms. If I'm going to marry you, I think you can use my first name. Something shifted in his expression, just slightly. A micro-adjustment around the eyes that in a different context, a better lit context, she might have called the beginning of amusement. Lara, he said, the checkpoint is in 20 minutes. I need an answer. She looked out the window at the dark desert sliding past. Somewhere behind them, Hassan's compound was either burning or mobilizing, and the only road to safety ran through a checkpoint that would eat her alive unless she was technically, legally, temporarily, the wife of a man whose last name she didn't even know yet. What's your family name? She asked. Al Rashid. Karim Al Rashid. She tested it. Then, fine. Fine, he repeated, as though confirming a business decision. But I want it in writing, the dissolution part. I'll have it drawn up tonight. And I want my passport back. Your passport is at the checkpoint. That's why I know why we need the marriage. I'm just establishing that I want my passport back. You'll have it. And I want, Lara, the way he said her name, patient, precise, with an undercurrent of something that was not quite exasperation and not quite something else, made her stop. 20 minutes. She closed her mouth. She opened it again. She closed it again. 20 minutes, she agreed. The waypoint was a low building off the road. Lights on, a generator humming against the silence. An older man, Karim's man, clearly from the deference, emerged with a leather-bound document and a lamp, and the business-like air of someone who had been asked to perform unusual tasks before and had long since stopped asking why. It took 6 minutes. Lara signed where she was told to sign. Karim signed beside her. Tariq witnessed, managing somehow to radiate both solemnity and the suppressed energy of someone who would absolutely be telling this story at dinner parties for the rest of his life. The older man said something in Zafari, formally, with a small bow toward Lara. What did he say? She asked. He said, Tariq offered, before Karim could answer, that you are very brave and that the Al Rashid family is honored. He said the documents are in order, Karim said flatly. Tariq smiled at the middle distance. They walked back to the Land Cruiser side by side, husband and wife under Zafari interior law, strangers by every other measure. The desert night was immense above them, stars so dense they looked structural, like a ceiling someone had forgotten to finish. Lara looked up at them and felt the peculiar vertigo of a life that had, in the space of 8 hours, become completely unrecognizable. Beside her, Karim walked with his hands in his pockets and said nothing, But when she stumbled slightly on a loose stone, his hand came out and caught her elbow. Automatic, immediate, gone again before she'd fully registered it. "Thank you," she said. "Watch your step," he said. It was not romantic. It was not meant to be romantic. She told herself this very firmly as she got back into the car. The checkpoint was manned by 4 men with rifles and the unhurried authority of people who know nothing passes without their permission. The lead guard approached the driver's window, shone a torch across the occupants, and addressed Karim with the particular cadence of challenge. Karim answered quietly, then passed across a document. The guard studied it. His torch swept to Lara. She met the light with the expression she used at border crossings the world over. Calm, slightly bored, absolutely nothing to see here. The guard said something. "He's asking if you are well," Karim said, without inflection. "Tell him I'm tired," she said, which is true. Karim translated. The guard nodded. The nod of a man who understands that a new wife traveling at night might well be tired, and waved them through. The barrier lifted. The land cruiser rolled forward. Lara did not breathe until the checkpoint lights were 100 meters behind them. "That's it?" she said. "That's it," Tariq confirmed cheerfully. She laughed, a short, slightly hysterical sound that she immediately pressed the back of her hand against to contain. Karim glanced back at her. She composed herself. "Sorry," she said. "Adrenaline." "Don't apologize," he said. He turned back to the front. Then, after a moment, "You did well." She blinked. From a man of that particular economy of speech, she was beginning to understand this was the equivalent of a standing ovation. "Thank you," she said. And then, because she couldn't entirely help herself, "Husband." In the front seat, Tariq made a sound like a man swallowing a laugh whole and nearly failing. Karim said nothing. But in the rearview mirror, just for a fraction of a second in the dark, with the desert highway opening up ahead of them toward the distant lights of Zafaran city, she thought she saw the corner of his mouth move. They arrived at the palace at 3 in the morning. It was only when they passed through the second gate, when the guards bowed and the doors opened, and she saw the scale of what she had married into, that Lara understood the dissolution documents were going to be the least complicated part of this arrangement. Waiting on the steps, wrapped in a silk robe and wearing an expression of pure volcanic fury, was a woman so beautiful she looked like a warning. She was looking at Lara the way a chess player looks at an unexpected piece on the board. Then she looked at Karim, and she smiled. Next chapter, The Woman on the Steps. Her name was Yasmin. She said she was an old friend. The way Karim's jaw tightened when he heard her voice told Lara that old friend was doing a great deal of work as a description.